Good afternoon. Got a double dose of Louis for you today. So he's here, but also he is there as well. For anyone who's a Louis fan, which, let's face it, should be everybody on the whole planet, really, shouldn't it? Anyway, I was talking to somebody yesterday about people who do the same diet over and over again. Essentially just lose the same 2 stone over and over. They get to about this time of the year and they're like, oh shit, it's going to be summer soon, better sort my shit out. Let's get the Slimming World books out of the drawer and dust them off. Back to group, they lose the weight, and then obviously because it's not sustainable, they put it back on again. And they come to October, November, and they're like, shit, it's Christmas soon. I need to sort my shit out. Let's get the books out again. And you know the people who go to that slimming club really well, because it's always the same fucking people year on year. You see the same people going back all the time. It got me thinking about why people become attached to a certain diet or method. Slimming World have this proprietary method that they have created to make nutrition as fucking confusing as possible. As far as I can see, that's the objective, so that you have to keep giving them money all the time because you don't really understand what's going on. I've got a client who's been with me for 3 years. When I first started working with this client, she had a service-based business, which meant that she had to spend a lot of time with clients, and she'd often work really long hours. Some of it was a little bit physical as well. So we had to look at nutrition strategies and exercise strategies and things that she could fit around these sort of immovable appointments that she'd had booked in for her clients. Obviously that worked for a certain amount of time, and then lockdown happened, and the type of business that she was running, she had to close it immediately. So then lockdown, well, she couldn't have been very busy, so maybe she had more time to focus on her nutrition and going out for her 1 hour of exercise that we were allowed to do. But what people might not have factored in is the stress. Obviously the stress that everyone felt during lockdown of social isolation and having things taken away from us, financial stress because she had to stop her only source of income. To then expect her to be like, look, I'm sorry, we're meant to be hitting this calorie deficit every week. I really want you to pay attention and only eat these foods. And that would have been a massive ask, because when you're feeling stress, whether that be financial, emotional, mental, physical stress, which we would have been experiencing all of those during lockdown, to then say to someone, hey, that tiny little bit of capacity you've got left in your brain because of all this other shit going on, I want you to use that to think every minute of every day about your food choices and whether you're in a deficit and tracking your food and all of that shit, let alone the fact that putting that client in a calorie deficit is actually a physical stressor on the body anyway. That would have been really irresponsible of me to go, hey, I know you're under a lot of stress, but let's continue with this other stressor that we've got of looking at your food in a certain way and tracking it and being in a calorie deficit and being hungry. And so that was the first change that she went through. And then during lockdown, because she didn't have any income, she had to take a job where she had to work nights. So again, that completely changes everything. That changes the levels of ghrelin, our hunger hormone in the body. It changes the fact that she would have to eat at times when her body was not expecting her to, or it's not natural to. She would have to sleep while it was daylight, which is something that our bodies are not designed to do. She would have to essentially ignore all of the environmental cues that told her body, hey, it's time to wake up. There's a blue sky outside. That's the blue light that we want. It's time to wake up. Ignore all of that stress of being employed again when you've been self-employed. I don't know how many of you out there are self-employed, but when you go from being in control of your work and everything you do to essentially being told what to do again, that's really stressful. It's mental and emotional stress, financial stress because she wasn't earning the money that she was in her business, physical stress of working nights and eating at the wrong time, sleeping at the wrong time. So if I had banged on about, hey, but we were doing this at the beginning and why can't you do it now? It's fucking ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's really hard to maintain. Just then, while she was doing this new job where she was working nights, she decided she was going to start a completely new business, completely unrelated to what she was doing before, but something that she was able to do in lockdown because of financial stress of only having one source of income. She decided she never wanted to do that again. So it was something completely unrelated. So she started a brand new business, which we all know is really stressful during lockdown while she's working nights. So now we're looking at time management, productivity, creative brain, all of that kind of stuff. Again, here's me in the corner going, hey, but we're meant to be doing this thing. Fucking irrelevant, right? Compared to what she was going through. And everything reopened again. And she had to reopen on a part-time basis her other business to support her financially, but then decided to start a third business related to the second business. So now she's got 3 businesses she's juggling. She has got the emotional stress of her children went off to university. So now it's just her and her husband, which is different environmental, emotional, mental stress. Life circumstances have changed. She's changed. Her businesses have changed. The way that her day looks has changed. And for me to have been sat on her shoulder for this 3 years and going, hey, but we're meant to be doing this, like fucking counting your sins or whatever shit method that people are employing, it would have been like really irresponsible. It wouldn't have got her the results that she wanted, because incidentally, she has got results. I'm not talking about just weight related things. I'm talking about being better able to cope with stress, being more productive, understanding what recovery activities serve her best and create her capacity for being able to run all of these businesses. She's been able to find exercise that she enjoys, that she's been able to change the way that she eats so that she's eating for nourishment and enjoyment and nothing about targets and stuff. I had to look at how can I help this person best now, because what we were doing before, it worked, it was relevant at the time, but it's not going to work for her now, and it's just going to cause her even more stress. So when I see people choosing coaches based on that coach does keto, I think I'm identifying as keto right now, and I'll go and do that. Or the lady down the road lost loads of weight on the Cambridge diet, I think I'll do that. Or 20 years ago, I lost weight by cutting out carbs, maybe I'll do that now. You're not the same person as you were 20 years ago. Your life's different, your circumstances are different, your physiology, your psychology, your personality, your mindset, it's all different. I think as a coach, it's very irresponsible to offer people one way, because it's not going to work for everyone. If you are married to this method of yours and you only want to coach people using this method, I really hope for their sake and for yours that you have a really strong screening process, because otherwise you're going to do more harm than good. It's also going to make the coaching relationship difficult and uncomfortable for you as well. I'm not here to give other coaches advice, but know more than one way to do stuff and get a result for your client. I always say to my clients when I'm talking to them, there are 2 experts in this room, right? I am an expert in what I do. You are an expert in you. I'm here to learn from you how you feel about the stuff we're doing and whether it needs changing. I'll take my cue from you. I think that's how all coaches should be, but unfortunately it's not the case.